Hello and welcome to Sportstar Extras. I am Ayan Acharya. Joining me from Bangalore is my colleague Ashwin Achal. Hi Ashwin.
Hey, Ayan, how's it going?
It's good. How are you? How are things?
Staying safe, staying safe.
So Ashwin, what a start to international season after a brief hiatus because of the pandemic. In West Indies beating England rather comprehensively to go 1-0 up in the series. So before we start previewing the next game in Manchester, what were your takeaways from the game in Southampton?
Well, of course, the first and the major one was that international cricket is back. I think we have all been waiting for a really long time, starved of any sports action, in fact. So it was good to see bat, ball back on the field. That was the biggest takeaway. In terms of the game,
Yeah.
I would say that West Indies sort of exceeded expectations. I know people take objection to the word. It was a big upset, but let's be honest. When they did arrive in England, they were the underdogs. Proved everybody wrong and really set up the series fantastically well.
Yeah, absolutely. Any standout performers from the obvious ones? Like, of course, Blackwood played really well. So did Holder. But anyone in particular who caught your eye?
Yeah, I would actually go back to Blackwood. Uh, just because he had the reputation of being somebody who could throw his wicket away, a little excitable, um, not really the most dependable person, even though he had done really well in the previous first-class match that he played against Leeward Islands,
Correct.
double century there and all that. But to actually do it at the test level, sort of grind it out, keep his natural attacking game aside and play the waiting game, that was a big positive. Holder's captaincy, of course, and his
Yeah.
underrated batting. Actually, he
Yeah.
came in the second innings during the chase. It was Holder who came in and started pushing for the singles and started sort of forcing Blackwood to, you know, jump in, take a few singles, take a few twos. It sort of relaxed the pressure a little bit. So yeah, fantastic bowling and batting performance from
Yeah.
Holder.
Absolutely. I mean, as you talked about Holder, I mean, he's not the number one test all-rounder for nothing.
Yeah.
And as of yesterday, he's just one spot away from becoming the number one test bowler as well. So
Right.
quite the asset as far as West Indies are concerned, they have in Holder. Although, like one dilemma I've always had whenever I've looked at this West Indies team, at least in the last 2 years, is why Holder bats at the position that he does. I mean, for someone who's the second highest run getter for his team since his debut, Test debut in 2014. Uh, he averages around 32. He's got an unbeaten double hundred against England. The same team he and his team are facing at the moment, and yet he continues to bat at number 8. And it's not like he doesn't want to bat up the order. Last year and the year before that, when West Indies came to India, he had expressed his desire to bat at number 6, number 7, if an opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can think of, the reason why he's batting at 8 is perhaps team balance, because the other players sort of pick themselves for the respective positions, and hence he has to bat at 8. But yeah, that's something that we can look forward to. Maybe over the next 2 test matches, who knows, he could bat at 6 and 7. And what do you make of Ben Stokes' captaincy?
Pretty measured with everything that he did, tactically quite sound. We were discussing earlier that perhaps he underutilized himself as a bowler. I think that tends to happen when somebody takes up captaincy. When they start off, they feel that they don't want to impose themselves too much in terms of giving themselves too many overs or even batting higher up than what they usually used to. But overall, I think he was a good captain, kept it measured. And I guess that is his personality. He doesn't go overboard with his emotions. Tactically, also quite sound. In terms of him not giving too many overs for himself to bowl, I think he was faced with a dilemma of how to use Jofra Archer as a strike bowler, or whether to use him for longer spells. Because let's be honest, it was only Archer who looked like he could take a wicket pretty much whenever he wanted. especially in
Mm.
those crucial periods when they were 4 down, 5 down, even 3 down in the second innings when West Indies was chasing. Archer was the biggest threat, and it was sort of do we keep him on, tire him out, make him bowl long spells, or do we give him short bursts? So that's something that England really has to think about. If you ask me, I think um, yes, I understand that modern fast bowlers they like to sort of brand themselves as strike bowlers and all that. But when you are playing Test cricket, I think any fast bowler, you have to be expected to bowl at least 8,
Right.
9, 10 overs on the trot if needed.
Mm.
I think the
Yeah.
short spells, that's okay for T20, but I don't think it will cut it in Test cricket. So if Archer is playing, which he will, and he is the main bowler,
Yeah.
I think he should take the load and bowl long spells if needed.
Yeah, I think good for England that Joe, beg your pardon, Joe Root is coming back for the next Test match because the problem as far as managing Archer is concerned is something that we saw in the last Ashes series as well. I mean, Root was faced with the same dilemma whether to overbowl him, or hold him back because clearly he was proving to be the problem factor for the Australian batsman. So yeah, that's something that will be interesting to see as far as the Manchester Test is concerned. Even Ben Stokes, I felt that in the last Ashes series he was used brilliantly by Root as far as him bowling is concerned. So, but yeah, I mean, looking forward to the second Test match in Manchester. What does the playing 11 look like for England?
Joe Root is back, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Looks like
yeah,
probably Denley will miss out. And an
yeah.
interesting little selection problem that England faces is with Stuart Broad available for
Mm,
selection but didn't play the first test. I think he was missed in the first test. I don't think Wood made as big an impression as the team would have liked. Probably Broad
correct.
would have been more effective, uses the seam, knows how to bowl in the right areas, the wicket taking areas, get a few edges,
Mm,
pile on the pressure. Whereas Wood is more of a run in, sort of bowl hard, hit the deck hard sort of bowler. Didn't really
mm,
didn't really make a mark at least in the first test.
yeah.
Also, if Broad comes in, I know that he doesn't have the pace of Archer or the bounce, but he is still a wicket-taking bowler. Can be considered as a strike bowler. So you could
Mm,
use Broad to lessen the load for Archer, which is what we were talking about earlier, which is the problem they
yeah.
faced in the first
Correct.
test. So
Yeah.
probably would like to see Broad play in the 11 and in the second test. And of course, the other selection problem they have is with Joss Butler. What do you feel, Ayan, about Joss? You think he
Uh,
deserves the chance?
Look, I mean, the way it's been going for him in Test cricket, uh, it's pretty obvious that he's struggling. One good thing for him is that the coach has thrown his weight behind him. Chris Silverwood just a couple of days back has said that he doesn't want to put too much pressure on Butler. But that said, I'm sure Butler is feeling the heat, knowing that there are two, not just Bairstow, but folks as well waiting in the ranks to grab that position. So while I see him retaining his position in the Manchester Test, the second Test, I don't know how long before England decide to look the other way as far as Test cricket is concerned.
Mm.
And one more point that you made was about Mark Wood and Broad coming in place of Wood. Chris Wokes is someone that England could also look at. I think Wokes and Broad, what they bring to the table is their ability to bat as well. We saw that in the first Test match. The tail struggled, England's tail struggled, and Broad is someone who can be pretty nagging when he gets his eye in, and so can
Don't
Wokes.
give him a few bouncers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Varun Aaron would know. Yes. So, but yeah, both of them can bat. So that's one thing going their way. And as you correctly mentioned, Wood seems to be a bowler who sort of relies more on pace rather than anything else off the pitch and in the air. So reminds you sometimes of someone like Sean Tate, who had exceptional pace, but very little else going for him. So there's only so much you can do with express pace. Yeah, I mean, it's a tantalizing prospect for England. As far as West Indies is concerned, Hakeem Cornwell is someone they could, look into. I mean, there were questions about why Cornwell didn't play in the first game, because they were expecting the pitch to turn in Southampton, and he is one of the premier spinners of late. He's been their premier spinner. So yeah, that could be looked into. Blackwood might retain his place. I mean, let's not forget, one of the reasons why he's part of the 11 is because guys like Hetmeyer and Bravo refuse to travel with the team.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, this is how an opportunity presents itself, right, out of nowhere. I mean, if they had been on the tour, odds are that Blackwood would have never played. But now that he has and he has performed, I think it's up to him to make the most of this opportunity. Yeah. So yeah, except Cornwell, I don't really see a dilemma as far as selection goes for the West Indies team. Do you reckon any changes in the lineup?
I don't think there's any reason to make any changes. I just want to go back a little bit to Butler there, whether he deserves a spot in the second test. I would say that it's unfair to drop a player based on just one performance. I know that it's a continuing thing with him and his test career, but looking at it from this series, he's had only one chance. We know that he is a match winner with the bat. We know that even in the first innings, the 30-odd that he made, some brilliant shots there. I would say that he is in the sort of Gilchrist mode. I mean, that's a really high bar, I know, but if he can get going, 5 down, come in, score, even like a quick 70, 80, it could change the course of the match. So I think the England management is right in probably saying, we know that he's a match winner. It's just a matter of getting him, into the 50 zone, and then he's gonna make a big difference to the team. So I would stick with Butler, not just for the second test, but for the full series.
Correct, right. And England, in terms of the test match, England find themselves in familiar territory despite being one down, because the last 8 occasions of their last 10 test campaigns, they have lost the first match of a test series. So they've had quite the knack of coming back from behind. So as far as that is concerned, they will believe that with the right combination and things going their way, they still have a way back into the test match. And good thing for them and West Indies too is the fact that they will be playing both the test matches in Manchester. So the teams won't be traveling. There won't be a huge change in conditions that they have to adapt to, or likewise the wicket as well. So I mean, let's see how things pan out for the two sides. I'm sure there'll be more scrutinization once the day's play gets underway on July 16. Anything else you're looking forward to in Manchester?
Yeah, just one thing. I know that Blackwood is getting a lot of praise, and rightfully so, for his innings, but I don't think that he is invincible. I saw a few flaws in his batting, and not so much his batting, his temperament and mindset, which I think England would also look to exploit. And what I mean is, there was a phase in the West Indies second innings when Archer was going really hard at Blackwood, chatting with Blackwood a little bit. And the problem there was that Blackwood fell for it, and had he changed his stroke play, I wouldn't say it rattled him, but it did have a sort of weird effect on him. So I think I know he was trying all some weird uppercut shots. What is that shot, by the way? How would you describe it? It's a uppercut cut. Dangerous shot, because when you pack deep third man, you got a backward point, you got so many slips. It seemed like he was just doing it to take the mickey out of Archer, who was like, talking some stuff to him. So, I would say that in the second test, the England pacers and the England fielders will have a few things to say to him, just to see if he just throws his wicket away.
Correct, correct. And I think speaking of temperament, where West Indies are served well is that someone like Roston Chase in the middle order, who's been one of their most consistent performers in Test cricket.
Proper
In
test batsman.
2018, proper Test batsman. He's got a solid defense. He knows how to keep his head on his shoulder. When West Indies came to India, a familiar tale. The top order struggled, the lower order struggled, but Roston Chase just stood there like a rock. I mean, he's the sheet anchor you want in your team when you are chasing small targets like 200. And you are correct. I mean, a lot of times these 200, 220 odd runs tend to be more tricky than say a big target of 350 or 400 in test matches, as we have so often seen. And who knows? I mean, if as we said, if Archer had picked up a couple of more wickets, Ben Stokes had introduced himself a little earlier, because we saw the minute he brought himself into the attack, he took a wicket. I mean, the guy seems to have a way around creating opportunities out of thin air. So the test match could have gone England's way. So I mean, there's plenty to pay for England for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
the point about Stokes is interesting because what probably happened was that the West Indies batsmen had enough of struggling with Archer, so they saw probably Ben Stokes coming in. Okay, let's
yeah,
get a few runs, and eventually you get overconfident, play a few silly strokes, trying to get some runs, and you get out. Maybe I think
yeah.
that is the way Ben Stokes operates with his bowling.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. We'll get another opportunity to see whether Joe Root is better at handling Stokes than Stokes is at handling himself when the day's play gets underway on July 16 in Manchester.